RxJobs.com. $25 job postings.
You're watching Your View.
Thank you for joining us. This is Scott Kaplan and Crew Tonight. The very best from today's Scott Kaplan and Crew show on the mightier 1090 AM SoCal Sports Talk. Here's Scott Kaplan, Alex Padilla, and John Browner.
Great friends, it is Thursday here on Kaplan and Crew, broadcasting on the radio airwaves of the mightier 1090, so 50,000 watts blasting throughout Southern California, through Los Angeles, and way up into the Central Coast. So glad to have everybody along who's listening on radio. Our YouTubers, the heart and soul of our entire show and everything we do, all the YouTubers getting involved in our YouTube chat this afternoon. Happy to have all of you guys here today. And to those of you who are watching on television tonight, a reminder, you can get the full 3-hour experience on youtube.com/Kaplan and Crew, youtube.com/Kaplan and Crew. Glad to have everybody here on a Thursday. We were talking about the Dodgers and the Braves up 3-1. We'll talk more about that as the afternoon goes on. But I said I wanted to transition into some NFL. Guys, Thursday night football. Will you be watching a little bit later on tonight, Denver versus Cleveland? Denver got beat last week by the Raiders, who you got to give them credit, with all the turmoil around them with the John Gruden situation, the way they galvanized and came together and won that game. I'm rooting for the Raiders right now. I like the storyline, okay? But when it comes to the Browns, who last week got blasted by Arizona, the week before they got beat by the Chargers, all of a sudden Cleveland, who came into the season with a whole lot of hype, you talk about injuries and excuses. Grande, show everybody tonight the situation for the Cleveland Browns. And by the way, we're going to talk about Jared Goff. Remember who was the quarterback of the Rams before Jared Goff? Case Keenum. He's the starting quarterback tonight for the Cleveland Browns. Take us through this list. Look at this. If you are wagering on this game tonight, possibly even using betus.com, dude, how could you possibly bet on the Cleveland Browns tonight? Look at this.
Yeah, I picked the Browns in my pick'em today as well. Baker Mayfield is out with a shoulder injury. Both running backs, Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, are out with calf injuries. Kareem Hunt was placed on the injured reserve, so he's out at least 3 games. Jarvis Landry was removed from the injured reserve, so he could play tonight. He's questionable with a knee injury. And Odell Beckham supposedly has a very serious shoulder injury. Nothing details yet, but he is also questionable tonight. I would be surprised if he plays.
Wow. Quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 receivers. How about that? So as for Denver tonight, do we know the line in this game? Because you kind of want to take Denver, even though Denver got beat by the Raiders last week. Maybe the Raiders played inspired football, and maybe the Broncos didn't. But I've got Cleveland as a 1-point favorite in this game, and Cleveland's home. Cleveland is at home, and they're only a 1-point favorite. But I mean, look, starting quarterback, 2 best running backs, 2 best receivers, all out.
At what point, if you're a Broncos fan? So let's say they lose tonight, right? Mm-hmm. At what point, and I don't know if this is blasphemous or not, do you start calling for Elway's head? Like, he can't get the quarterback position right after Peyton Manning. He just can't. If you lose tonight to this Browns team, are we there yet?
Well, how about this? Let me throw this at you. If you lose tonight, and if you're Denver, and the game's in Cleveland, might you start thinking about other options? For example, remember all the talk before the season that Aaron Rodgers was going to go to the Broncos, but he was going to be traded to the Broncos midseason? Well, you can't imagine that the Green Bay Packers would dare make that move now. The Packers are too hot first, right?
Yeah,
they're too hot. Okay, so that's one. How about this? A couple guys that are available to you right now. Would Denver possibly contemplate Cam Newton now that he's vaccinated? Would anybody give Cam Newton a shot in Denver?
This guy.
Look at him on screen. Look at Browner. What? Why me? What are you looking at me for?
It's Cam Newton.
How about this? Let me throw this at you. You know all this talk now that there's, Deshaun Watson possibly getting traded. There's been talk about Miami. Would Denver possibly get into the Deshaun Watson conversation? I'm just throwing out ideas here to you. Just throwing out concepts to John Elway. That's all. What do you guys think? Anything?
Fire John Elway. This is ridiculous. He shouldn't have hired Vic Fangio. Vic Fangio's not a head coach. He's a coordinator. He never got the quarterback position right. But they're not going to fire him because he won 2 Super Bowls and he's fumbled ever since. The Browns are going to win this game tonight because the Broncos are not good. Case Keenum is serviceable. I didn't see any of their defense out. And the problem with the Broncos is offense. I didn't see any of their defenses out. And by the way, they did sack the Bears like 9 times. So I may be a little jaded in my prediction of this, but I absolutely think the Browns are going to win this game because what I do know about men in locker rooms, when everybody's like, oh, they're going to lose, this person's out, this person out, this person out, all of a sudden you get this great team effort and you gut a game out. And this looks like one of those games where Denver isn't very good. You're going to gut it out. So I like the Browns in this game.
You know, Case Keenum to me is like the perfect backup quarterback to Baker Mayfield. Because I always like a backup quarterback that has a similar style, a similar
Right.
size, a similar skill set. And I think Case Keenum is the perfect guy to be Baker Mayfield's backup. And if you talk about a guy who all you need is one game out of him, you know, it's a Thursday night game, it's a short week, and you're playing against what should be on paper an inferior opponent. Case Keenum to me is a quarterback that has the experience to do the job. We'll see if he can actually pull it off. But I like Case Keenum as the backup quarterback of the Cleveland Browns. I'll be watching that game
defense
tonight.
has to win this game.
I think you're right.
I think Case Keenum will always have I know this. He will always have a special place in my heart for the Minneapolis Miracle.
Yeah.
So to me, I think I overvalue Case Keenum because he's like the Ryan Fitzpatrick, but not as good. He's been on every team already. And he seems, he's just a journeyman backup. But I would be surprised if the Broncos don't win today, but not that surprised because I don't think their offense is good at all. Like, Melvin Gordon is their running back. Jerry Jeudy's on IR. I mean, Noah Fant is supposed to be good, and so is Cortland Sutton, but they have no quarterback throwing to him.
And so that's why I think in this particular game you might get a win from the Cleveland Brown defense because now we're asking this question: whose special teams and whose defense is better? I like the Browns defense. I don't know much about their special teams, but I know that their defense is better than Denver's defense. So if it's going to come down to that, I've seen it up close and personal. So I got to take the Browns defense.
You know what I
Do
say
you guys
though?
think they'll show? Oh, go ahead.
Do you think that who will show?
Do you guys think they're going to show the Minneapolis Miracle tonight? Because
Yes.
Case Keenum did
Yes.
take over for Teddy Bridgewater. Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You got Teddy Bridgewater on one side, you got Case Keenum on the other. You got the history between the two of them, and you've got one of the most, spectacular plays in NFL history. So, yeah, I would think that they're going to show that. I will say this. I think that the Cleveland wide receiving crew, you see Jarvis Landry on that screenshot, and you go, well, he hadn't been playing. And you see Odell Beckham, and you say, well, he hadn't been really that productive, and he certainly hasn't been clutch. You know who Cleveland has a receiver I really like, a guy by the name of Peoples-Jones.
Yeah, I love the name. Donovan Peoples-Jones.
Yeah, DPJ. Donovan Peoples-Jones. I love the guy's name, and I love his game. And he's not particularly fast. He's not some great route runner. The dude just somehow catches everything.
And
what have spoken to AVP?
And Jarvis play? What if Odell and Jarvis actually play? Case Keenum can get them the ball.
Yeah. I was going to ask you if you've spoken to the offensive coordinator of the Browns because it is by Mageddon, and Donovan Peoples-Jones is probably available in a lot of people's fantasy league. We got a little inside tip: is Keenum and Jones, do they have a good Stafford Cup relationship? Do they have breakfast together every single day?
I don't know. It's a good question. I should ask that question. It's a very good question. I should ask.
Inside info would be valuable today.
The Case Keenum story is so interesting though, because you're right. Keenum has that history in Minnesota. But remember, when Jared Goff was drafted by the Rams, Case Keenum was the starting quarterback that Jared Goff was sitting on the bench because Jeff Fisher was like, no, he's a rookie. He's a young player. He needs time. We've got a guy who can start games for us. And Case Keenum, if he were like 6'4", he probably would have been a first-round draft choice because, and this was an undrafted player, because if you go back and you look at his college career, and I'm trying to remember, he played in one of those schools like a Texas.
Wasn't it A&M?
Was it
not A&M?
No, was it Texas Tech or one of those kinds of schools where he put up monster passing yards? And I don't remember what college is, but it's one of those kinds of Texas-y kind of school. Oh, Houston. Perfect. Mm-hmm. The kind of school where you put up a ton of yards and you have a really accomplished career, but you're 6 feet tall and nobody thinks you can be an NFL quarterback.
He had 3 seasons of over 5,000 passing yards.
Yeah.
2 seasons of over 5,600 passing yards.
Yeah. In college.
In college, he had 19,000 passing yards, 155 touchdowns, and only 46 interceptions. He also rushed the ball for 23 touchdowns.
And in the history of college football, I'm telling you, I don't remember where it is, but Case Keenum is one of the top passing yardage guys in the history of college football. He may be the number one overall.
Here is all his NCAA records. You ready?
Yeah.
For at the end of not including this year, I don't know if anybody's passed them. Most career pass completions, most career passing yards, most career passing touchdowns, most career games with 300 passing yards, most seasons passing for 5,000 yards, most seasons passing for 4,000 yards, most career total yards, and most career touchdowns responsible for.
Is this unbelievable? I mean,
he's
seriously,
like the Tim Tebow of Texas.
Right. If this guy was 6'4", he would have been a first round draft choice. But because he was 6 feet tall at the time, everybody said, well, product of a system, all those stats, nobody buys him, and he's just too small to play in the NFL. But he's had a really nice NFL career. He ain't going to the Hall of Fame. We made a ton of money.
That seems to be a good, accurate assessment of him because he's small, too small. Ends up being a career backup. I mean, I would love to be a career backup.
Yeah, but you see, back then, his college career, I don't remember how many years ago it was or how old he is about now, but this is kind of a little pre-Russell Wilson. Certainly,
he graduated in 11.
Yeah, pre-Kyler Murray, pre-Baker Mayfield. This is when, short guys couldn't play quarterback in the NFL. Case Keenum's an accomplished guy. And again, we're talking about tonight's Thursday night football game. I'll be watching Thursday night football tonight, Cleveland and Denver. I'll definitely be watching the Dodgers tonight against the Braves. Those are the two big sporting events that are on my calendar this evening for sure. Now, hold on a second, because the Case Keenum story will turn us into the Jared Goff story, and I'll get there in just 1 minute. But I want to say before I do, one more time, fellas, I Thrive MD. I'm going to keep on pushing this for you because they're an important client to our show, and they're an important client for your health. Okay, so I'll make this one really brief. Call this phone number, 858-240-1497, 858-240-1497, or use the website ithrivemd.com/Kaplan. Use that website, get your testosterone levels checked, and if your testosterone is low, and if you're going to go on a treatment of testosterone, the first 3 months, November, December, January, because this has to happen in October, November, December, January, $145 a month rather than the $289, you're saving 50%. Perfect time with the holidays. You want to stay healthy. You want to stay strong. You might be traveling. You might be doing some other stuff that's going to have you eating and drinking a lot more and different than you might normally. I'm telling you, be as healthy as you can, be as energetic as you can. Come to iThrive MD in the month of October. We're running out of time, and your first 3 months are going to be 50% savings. 858-240-1497. Get that clarity back. Be that younger, clearer, more energetic self that you can be. ithrivemd.com. Get your testosterone levels checked for free, and then 50% off your first 3 months. Okay, guys, let's turn it now. Bring it home here. Bring it back to Southern California. Oh, by the way, you guys are going to love this. You ready for this? A friend of mine texted me yesterday.
Are we in?
Wait, no. This is a different story.
Oh, okay.
A friend of mine texted me the other day. He's got a suite for the Chargers game. Okay.
Yeah, you told us that.
And normally the suite costs $20,000 for the tickets, the food, the parking, et cetera, et cetera. But he's willing to sell it for $10,000 for the game. This is not the Chargers this week. It's the following week. I think it's against New England. I think you'll have to double check me on that. So he sends out a text to a whole bunch of people. Hey, everybody. I've got 20 tickets for the Chargers versus, again, I think it's the Patriots. It's $10,000 for the suite. It comes with 5 parking passes and like $1,500 worth of food. And it's $10,000. We're getting it for $10,000 rather than $20,000. Who's in? And he sent it out to a group of people. And not one person on this group text said, I'm in. In fact, everybody on the group text was like, I'm not going to see the Chargers play at SoFi Stadium, And I wrote back in the group text, I've already been, but I specifically will not buy a ticket in a suite because the suite money goes directly to Dean Spanos. So if you had free tickets for a suite, I'm the guy to invite. But if you need me to pay for suite tickets, I'm the wrong guy because A, I'm too cheap, and B, I would never pay for suite tickets at a Charger game because I know that I might as well walk up to Dean and go, here's 500. Not happening here, pal. Not happening.
Mm-hmm.
As for the Lions and the Rams this weekend,
That's what we care about.
that's one that I haven't still not heard back from. But I got, and I'll talk about this a little bit later on. I got way monster issues going on in real life that I don't know that I can sneak away for that game. I'll talk about that.
I'm watching soccer in F1 on Sunday at home.
Probably so. Probably looking that way.
I felt that way anyway because it is Thursday.
Yeah. I hadn't exactly gotten a confirmation that we were getting tickets to this game. Yeah.
I figure like if you were getting tickets,
probably would have
know
by now. Yeah.
Probably would have heard by now.
Yeah.
So look, here's the thing. This Rams-Lions game is not really that interesting, is it? I mean, I guess if you're a Rams fan, it's somewhat interesting. If you're a Lions fan, maybe it's a little bit interesting. But to the national public,
this isn't Tom Brady going back to New England, right?
Right. This is Jared Goff going back to LA, where he played in SoFi Stadium when there were no fans, and he didn't leave LA with 6 Super Bowl rings. He left with 1 NFC championship ring. That was it. And the fact of the matter is that Matthew Stafford has already shown even doubters like myself that he's a better fit for this Rams offense through 6 games. They're 5-1. And for Jared Goff, he's now on the victim side of, I play for Detroit. This organization stinks. This head coach is brand new. This offensive coordinator is brand new. And we're not very good. We don't have a whole lot of talent around. And so 0-6 Jared Goff goes home to LA, quote unquote home.
Mm-hmm.
And here's what he said. This is turning into a story this week in that McVay's talked about it. Now Goff is talking about it. Let's hear what Jared Goff had to say.
It'll be fun to see all those people, and it'll be fun to be there. And of course, you're motivated. Of course, you have the chip on your shoulder. I've spoken about that. Like, there was some disrespect felt towards the end. There was some, sourness there towards the end, and you still feel that. You still have that chip on your shoulder. But at the same time, when the game starts, if I let any of that come into how I'm going to play the game, it'd be selfish, and I'm going to play the game just how I would any other game. And to be honest, I'm not worried about feeling some type of way once the game starts. I really don't.
No, what he should have said
Lions
was,
win.
What he should have said was, I already feel a certain way. I'm
pissed.
I'm furious. Not only did I have a really good spread in LA, and not only did I have to move up to Detroit, which, by the way, during the summer, Detroit can be very nice. Not inner city Detroit. I'm talking about the outlying areas and all the lakes and everything else. It can be very, very nice. Yeah. But dude, you guys traded me. We were a Super Bowl contender. We were in the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
And now here I am on an 0-6 football team with a head coach who has virtually no experience, with an offensive coordinator that shouldn't even be an offensive coordinator, and I'm stuck. And even though I'm getting paid like a mofo, this sucks. So
Lions by 1,000.
You think so, huh?
I like that answer. That answer gave me energy. It gave me life. I saw it in his eyes. Revenge game. Don't believe that. He
in my
fired up.
survivor pool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Rams lose this game. You gotta bench Stafford.
Lions win big time.
Stafford
don't care about the Lions.
You lose this game. You trade for Jared Goff again. You get him back.
Well, look, listen, everybody finds a win somewhere along the way. Like even the Jacksonville Jaguars. Look, they beat the Miami Dolphins. Miami's not very good. It's not like Jacksonville beat Tampa. It's not like Jacksonville beat Green Bay. But the Jets did beat Tennessee. Right. So is it completely out of the question that the Lions shock the world? Not in this NFL. No way.
The Lions almost beat the Ravens. The Lions almost beat the Vikings. The Lions almost beat a lot of teams, but then they got boat raced or motorboated by the Bengals last week. So I don't know, man. No, the Lions do not win this game.
But it would be, listen, even for someone like myself who is rooting for the Rams to succeed, having the Lions at 0-6 with Jared Goff come back to LA and stick it to the Rams and Matthew Stafford. Now, that's a storyline that all sports fans would find interesting.
And then the Lions finish 1-16. That's
right.
I don't know what's going to happen if Dan Campbell gets a win. Like, that man might explode. Like, that man, the Lions head coach, might explode if they
I want to hear that locker room speech.
Yeah, dude. Because he was like, I watched that, not all of it, but until I found that soundbite about him possibly, or him saying like Goff needs to step up. Like, that press conference was intense, man. Like, somebody asked him a question and he like grabbed the podium. And he was like, listen, we got to do better. Like everybody, like he was pissed off. Like if they win, my goodness.
And he's a big dude.
He's a big dude.
Yeah, I mean, he played NFL. Yeah. He played tight end in the NFL, and he still looks really fit and like he could play. He's a big dude, and I know he is.
He'd be a great tight ends coach,
which he has been.
Yeah, he has not proven yet to be a great head coach. But listen, here's the thing. If you want to be a head coach in the NFL, you take whatever job comes your way. Very few guys turn down NFL head coaching jobs. Maybe if you think you're eventually going to take over from Bill Belichick, that's why you don't take an NFL head coaching job. But somebody got to be the head coach of the Bengals. Somebody got to be the head coach of the Jaguars. Somebody got to be the head coach of the Lions. And when those opportunities come, that's why Jace Tingler took the opportunity to be the manager of the Padres. Not qualified, not getting paid the big money, but still wants to be a manager. We'll talk more about baseball coming up, by the way, because Mark Loretta, the former great Padre and one-time Dodger, will give us his thoughts on Game 5 on the NLCS. Mark Loretta, right around the corner. Stick around, everybody. We're in the 7 Mile Casino Studios.
We'll be right back with more of Scott Kaplan and Crew tonight. The very best from today's Scott Kaplan and Crew show on the mightier 1090 AM. A new generation of radio. SoCal Sports Talk.
Kaplan and Crew tonight is brought to you by BMW San Diego, your certified BMW dealer, serving drivers throughout San Diego and the surrounding areas.
Welcome back. Please join us in welcoming the Race and Sports Radio Show back home to 1090. Join host Felix Taverna every Saturday at 9 a.m. for the very best horse racing coverage in all of Southern California. The all-new and mightier 1090.
SDCCU is an engaged community partner. Each year, SDCCU is proud to support many nonprofit organizations throughout Southern California. Our partnerships allow us to help shape the financial lives of many through volunteerism, financial support, and creating public awareness. The result is a big impact on the communities we serve. SDCCU, it's not big bank banking, it's better. Federally insured by NCUA. Find out more at sdccu.com.
Great things can be achieved when a community comes together. Join Erica Cardenas on Doing More as she introduces you to ordinary people working side by side to confront tremendous challenges and make a positive impact in their community. Watch Doing More Sunday night at 6 on YourView or stream it online at yourview.com.
Are you or someone you love living with dementia? Get free support from the experts at Alzheimer's San Diego. Visit alzsd.org or call 858-492-4400. Brought to you by Team Mazda of El Cajon, where your trade-in is always worth more. Just off I-8 in El Cajon.
Up to 30% of COVID-19 patients become long haulers with persistent symptoms months after the infection.
What I've been finding with my patients is that it's taking up to 3 to 6 months for them to recover their endurance, exercise capacity, and get them back to work or to their usual activities of daily living.
What I wasn't able to do was the basic needs, like brush your teeth, take a shower because of the shortness of breath, the tightness in my chest.
The symptoms that concern me the most, the shortness of breath. So restrictive. You go through and you just take for granted that, you're gonna breathe. And when that gets taken away, it's a scary thought. Unfortunately, I'm 6 months out now from my diagnosis and I'm still suffering from several of the symptoms.
My experience with the patients I've sent to La Mesa Rehab has been extremely positive. The patients come back with good reports, and when I see them in the office, their exercise capacity has improved dramatically.
I'm getting there because of La Mesa Rehab.
Teatro means theater in Spanish, and in Portuguese, and in Tagalog, and in Italian, and in so many languages. We have a lot of communities, a lot of culture here, so that is the reason why teatro is in the name. The mission of Teatro San Diego is to provide arts education to underserved communities, specifically in schools. Our goal is also in tandem with arts education to provide a professional theater company and dance company so that the community can see themselves reflected on stage at the professional level. Places like Subaru have really been so supportive and have helped us come up with projects like the AMI project.
I was so honored to be at an event a few days ago and heard some of the songs from it. These guys rock. This is just an amazing thing that everyone needs to see.
Southern California Radio is a special game, a unique game from the sandy beaches of the Baja and all the way to Santa Barbara. My voice sounds pretty cool. The all-new and mightier 1090.
My name is John Alicio, and I'm managing partner of Procopio. Procopio is the largest San Diego-based law firm, and we're proud to be a part of this event, the Salute to Teachers. Without the teachers, none of us would have had the success we've had. You know, our firm consists of about 200 professionals and 200 attorneys, so a total of 400 mostly San Diego-educated professionals. Without you, we'd not be winning the cases we win, as we go toe-to-toe with the best attorneys in the world. So thank you on behalf of Procopio for what you do and how you do it. And a special personal thanks to my alma mater, Valhalla High School, and the teachers at that school. Without you, I would not have had the personal success I have had. So from Procopio, thank you for what you do and how you do it. Salute.
It was a night to remember as we honored the best teachers in San Diego. There was dancing. There was music. There were teachers. There was also this bit of genius.
This honor is bananas. B-A-N-A-N-A-S.
Watch Cox present Salute to Teachers only on Your View.
Here's Kaplan and Crew tonight's 60-second timeout with Haley Stasiak.
Orange County Soccer Club got the win against the San Diego Loyal 1-0 on Wednesday night. With the win, OCSC clinched their spot in the playoffs and moved within 1 point of the Loyal in the Pacific Division. Eric Calvillo scored the game's lone goal for OCSC in the first half. Calvillo had 3 shots and completed 37 of 43 passes with 9 recoveries midfield. OCSC goalkeeper Patrick Rakowski had another great game. He had 4 saves, 2 inside the box, and his 3rd straight game without a goal allowed. Next up for OCSC, they'll take on the Las Vegas Lights FC on Saturday. For the San Diego Loyal, they'll match up with Oakland Roots SC on Sunday. Both matches will be broadcast right here on Your View. That's your 60-second timeout. Now back to more Kaplan and Crew tonight.
Kaplan and Crew tonight's 60-second timeout is presented by Your View.
Still on his feet, Jared Swift is in the end zone. Touchdown, Wildcat. He's at the 40. Is he going to go? Goes, holds it in. What a catch. Big return left sidelines off to the races. He splits the defenders into the end zone. He's got a man. Wildcat. That was pretty.
Game Time High School football on Your View is brought to you by Team Mazda of El Cajon, where your trade-in is always worth more. Just off I-8 in El Cajon.
Stadium in San Diego. It has been a sellout the last few days. Loyal SC ready to kick off this season. Stadium in San Diego. Professional soccer has finally arrived.
We'll be right back with more of Scott Kaplan and Crew tonight. The very best from today's Scott Kaplan and Crew show on the mightier 1090 AM. A new generation of radio. SoCal Sports Talk.
You're watching Kaplan and Crew tonight, powered by the mightier 1090 and Your View. Brought to you by Team Mazda of El Cajon, where your trade-in is always worth more. Just off I-8 in El Cajon.
All right, great friends. It is a Thursday afternoon here on Kaplan and Crew. We welcome you back inside the 7 Mile Casino Studios, 7milecasino.com. Mark Loretta is about to join us here in a matter of moments. We want to talk to Mark, the former great Padres second baseman, a one-time Dodger player himself, had a lot of postseason success with the Dodgers. We got a lot to talk to Mark Loretta about this afternoon. So here he is, Mark Loretta, back on Kaplan and Crew. What's up, Mark?
What's up, boys? Good to see you all.
Good to see you, man. How you doing today? Yeah, we're good. What's going on?
Doing great.
All right.
Enjoying this playoff baseball. It's been fun.
Let me get your opinion on something. You ready? Let's put you in the mindset of you're on this current Dodger team, and you're down 3-1, but you feel like, well, we were down 3-1 last year to this same Braves team, but the Dodger roster is different than last year. The Braves roster is different than last year. But what I'd want to know from you is, if all of a sudden there's no Kershaw, he's not there to help in any way, Muncy's out, 36 home runs, your biggest home run hitter is gone, and now last night Justin Turner gets hurt. If you're on the Dodgers today and you're getting ready for Game 5, where's your head?
Yeah, I think you're smarting from last night's kind of drubbing. I mean, that was a tough. As good as that third game comeback was, that was a pretty kind of a letdown going into last night. But you're right. Hard to see JT go down like that with the hamstring. I've been there. So have you, Scotty. I'm sure it hurts, and I think he's done for the postseason. I mean, that's what that looked to me. But again, yeah, you said it was 3-1 last year. However, they weren't at home. They lost a game in Dodger Stadium. Last year was in totally different circumstances in Texas. Like you said, different teams. Now the Braves also are missing. They're probably one of their best players in Ronald Acuna. So everybody's kind of missing pieces. But yeah, I thought Urias looked fatigued last night. I think they probably, in hindsight, probably overused him a little bit. Brought him in out of the bullpen, and I know he's done it before, but. This is a 162-game season with a playoff coming off a 60-game season last year. And these guys, you can tell, I just feel like a lot of these guys are running on fumes at this stage of the year. So what would you be thinking, though, today? Like, do you feel like, because, they asked a lot of the Dodger players after the game last night, well, you're down 3-1, what now? And these guys are like, well, we know that we were down 3-1 last year and we were able to come back, so we're going to draw on that experience. But I don't know if that's the smart thing to say publicly. Whereas I saw Dave Roberts after the game and he's like, I just don't have answers other than they're just out playing us right now. Yeah. I'm trying to put myself in the mindset of what would I be thinking about here at this time of day, knowing this game is, it's an hour away. Well, mentally you're saying, okay, this is just another game. We've got a good team. Let's just take it one pitch at a time. But the thing is, you go into an elimination game, there's more pressure. There's more, every play matters. It always does in the playoffs. Every pitch potentially can change the game. And so I think you're probably a little bit more anxious going into this game than you were last night. It's just kind of human nature.
I would like for you to put your manager hat on and help me kind of figure this out. Dave Roberts has made some strategic moves. We'll call them strategic moves throughout the playoffs. Some have worked, some have not. Bringing in Scherzer to win Game 5 kind of makes sense because if you don't win Game 5, there is no more season left. But for him to then turn around and do that same thing with Urias, as a manager, how do you go about rebuilding your rotation at this point in the season when you're putting a starter in for an inning, knowing that it requires them to warm up? Yeah, no, that really threw him for a loop when Urias didn't have it last night. I think they figured, okay, we're using relief. It would have been his bullpen day anyway, but it's never the same throwing in a playoff game as it would be just on the side or in a bullpen. I mean, that's ludicrous. But the other thing is, Bronner, it's Dave Roberts isn't making this decision by himself, and the front office has a lot of input. He's even said, I've got one vote out of I don't know how many. It's probably Andrew Friedman's got a vote. Maybe the pitching coach has a vote. I don't know how many votes there are, but Dave Roberts has one of those votes. So it's a group effort in most teams and most front offices nowadays. So to just say, okay, Dave did this or Dave did that, it's really more organizational wide than just that. What's your overall? You say that though? Just real quick, Alex. You know what's funny about that though, Mark, is that this notion that
it was Urias's bullpen day. So he was going to throw on that day. So rather than throwing him in a bullpen session, we actually put him into a game.
Yeah.
And I love all the excuse making from people that go, well, the logic says he was going to pitch a bullpen. So rather than have him pitch a bullpen, that's why we used him in the game. And I keep saying to these people, do you not understand that these are humans? These are not robots.
Right.
That just because you're putting him in a simulation, in a bullpen, is nowhere near the intensity and the mindset and the warm up and the energy and everything that it takes. So I literally have these people tell me, you don't know what you're talking about. He was going to throw that day anyway. So it doesn't matter if he throws bullpen or he actually throws in a pressure packed situation. I'm like, okay, look, you think your way, I'll think my way, but that's a human being out there.
Completely illogical. I mean, put it into your perspective. Maybe let's say you're just going out to kick a few field goals, to get loose, and it's an off day for you. Well, instead of doing that, you're going to kick 7 game-winning field goals with that kind of pressure on the line with the crowd and everything. But this is just, it's the same. Would that be the same for you?
Makes no sense. I know. It makes no sense.
And how much more mentally and physically taxed would you be after kicking 10 game-winning field goals than you would 10 practice kicks?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't understand why people defend this. It was, in my opinion, it was a terrible decision by the organization to have Urias pitch in that inning, in that game.
Well, to Browner's point, I mean, if it's an elimination game, okay, all hands on deck, no doubt about it. But they didn't. I didn't feel like they needed to fire that bullet at that moment.
I agree. Alex, you were jumping in. We're talking to Mark Loretta this afternoon. Mark Loretta, the former great Padres second baseman, also played for the Dodgers at one stop of his career. Also worked in the Padres front office, was most recently the Chicago Cubs bench coach. He's taken some time off. And maybe we should be talking about Mark Loretta as a manager, or at least a candidate for the Padres. We'll get to that down the road. Alex, what were you saying?
Just your general thought about the relationship between the GM and the manager nowadays. I mean, you were the bench coach for a guy that I assume, that I think a lot of people assume, like he makes the lineups, he makes the calls in Joe Madden. Whereas we just now talked about Dave Roberts saying, I have one vote. What is your general thought on how that relationship should work? Should it just be like, hey, the GM hired me to be the manager, let me manage? Or do you agree with the stance of the GM should have input and analytics should be put into play? Because even going back to the previous series, when he started Knebel and put in Urias a few innings later, we were arguing that. We're like, what is he doing here?
Yeah, I'd say my overall take on that is, I do think the GM should have some input. I do think analytics are part of the game, absolutely. But that's got to be done, way in advance or at the beginning of a series. I think on a day-to-day basis, you hire that guy to manage the team. And I'm frustrated with how devalued the major league manager has become. It's because, first of all, look at what they pay the major league managers now. If you're a first-year manager, you're making sometimes 30 times less than their best player. So your boss is making 30 times less than you. I mean, it just shows you how devalued. In the NFL, the NBA, they're paying these guys accordingly. And that's the way it used to be in baseball. That's just one example. But also, I think it's just front offices feel like, well, the manager really doesn't have a bearing on the outcome of the game, or, we can direct him, we can steer him. And I just don't think, that is the best way to go about it. Although, if you look at Tampa Bay, I think everybody, looks to them. They script everything out. They never let a pitcher go through the third time through the order if they're within 2 runs. That's essentially what they do. That's a hard, fast rule. That's why they took Blake Snell out of the game in the World Series last year. And that's worked for them. So I think other teams have looked at that. And I just think you got to have a real, maybe unique situation where you're a small market team, where your GM and the manager have a certain rapport and they know what they're getting into up front. But if you don't, it can be pretty messy.
Yeah, that's what I've been arguing about the Dodgers. It's like, you're not the Rays. You have the most expensive roster. You have the most talented roster. Why start fidgeting with it when you won 106 games? Just putting your best guys out there in their places to succeed.
You don't need to trick people. When, like you said, when you're the Dodgers, are you going to start Knable and try to trick them a little bit and maybe get through some of their righties or make them make a choice? No, start your 20-game winner. Get Urias out there, let him get prepared like he normally would. He's won 20 games this year. He's a stud. Let him go. And now it throws everything off, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I agree, Mark. We're talking to Mark Loretta this afternoon because to me, I would just want to work with the formula that got us here.
Right.
To me, I'd be like, look, we won 106 games. How do we do that? We had a starting pitcher pitch 5 innings or 6 innings, whatever it was. We had a middle relief guy. We had a setup guy. We had a closer. The formula worked. So what are we doing all of a sudden now with relief pitcher an inning, starter for 4? Let's go back to the bullpen. Like, that's not what you did all season. And to me, this is the thing about it. Again, these are humans. So now I got a routine in my head. I show up at the park at this time. I long toss at this time. I get into the bullpen at this time. I've got a whole routine. Now you've taken me out of my routine because I'm not going to pitch until the 3rd inning. I just feel like they've gotten way too cute. I think they've overthought this thing. And now ultimately, Dodgers have 3 starting pitchers, but nobody's on their proper rest because of what they've done with Scherzer and with Urias. And not to mention, Buehler's arm was already falling apart towards the end of the regular season. Kershaw gets hurt in the last series of the season. To me, they just, I don't know, man. I think they played too desperate too early.
I agree with you. Yeah, and I love that because, you talk about, doing the things that get you there. And that's okay. When's the last time the Tampa Bay Rays won the World Series? Now they've been very good in the regular season, and they've been very good to an extent in the postseason. But they stick to the flip side of your argument. They stick to what got them there, which is good over a big sample size like 162 games. But when you're talking about the 6th or 7th game of the World Series, then you got to make your decisions based on whatever the right thing is to do, not on what got us here over 162. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. It does.
So,
but
that's where the art comes in. Like I love the science. The science is awesome, but it's art and science. It's both and. It's not one or the other.
Yeah, really interesting. We're talking to Mark Loretta this afternoon. So I'm just curious, make a prediction. Game is a couple hours out. But I'm curious, do you think that the Dodgers come back and take it 3-2 and go back to Atlanta and they draw on this experience of being down 3-1, even though everything's different, rosters, where they are, et cetera?
Fans.
Yeah, fans being in the stands. Or do you think, like, do the Dodgers kind of go like, hey, what are we schlepping all the way back to Atlanta for to go down there and lose? I
don't think that's their mindset, but I think the Braves have the advantage with Max Fried on the mound. They struggle against left-handed pitching. They really do, and you saw the Braves have really stacked up their left-handed relievers this year have been really effective. So if Max Fried's on, the Dodgers are in trouble.
Yeah, we're talking to Mark Loretta. Go ahead, John.
Mark, one of the things that has been very headline grabbing this postseason is the calls by umpires, whether it be the call at first, the check swing call that happened in San Francisco, or what happened in Boston with the ump missing 23 strike calls. You've been involved in professional baseball or baseball in general pretty much your entire adult life. Do you think it's time for baseball to use the technology that we already have and let the robot tell you whether it's a ball or a strike, or are you still for the human error part of baseball?
No, I'm all for the electronic strike zone, and I'm probably in the minority on that, among sort of baseball people. But I think you're right. I think the technology's got to the point where, much like the U.S. Open in tennis, we can see stuff so quickly. And my point is, it's getting humanly almost impossible to call balls and strikes in this era. You got guys throwing 103 miles an hour with vertical break. You got sliders, and you're trying to tell me you're going to differentiate between 1/2 of an inch is on or off the plate? It's impossible. The human eye can't do that, particularly when you're staring over a catcher like this. I just think it's too hard of a job these days. The other stuff with the check swing, and I don't know what you can do about that. That's one of the hardest calls, even on replay. To what's the intent, and did he break his wrist and stuff like that? But
What's the angle of the camera?
I'm involved. I'm all for the electronic strike zone. I would think it'll get the game going a little bit. I think I think it brings potentially a little bit more offense back to the game. If the hitters know exactly where the strike zone is, that may bring a little bit more offense to the game. I think it's time.
Because that's my overall argument is that now that the pitcher knows where to throw, it's not subjected to an individual, and the batter knows within this area, I know I have a good shot at the ball. And so these guys are unbelievable with vision and hand-eye coordination, and pitchers are unbelievable their ability to pinpoint the baseball. And I think we're doing the game a gigantic disservice by just basing it on what Joe West thinks.
Well, can I ask on top of that, Mark, do you think that if the day ever comes where they do go to an electronic strike zone and the strike zone is set, like there is no, this ump has a bigger strike zone than this, like it is set every single day, does that help batters or does that help pitchers?
Good question. Great question. It'll help the pitchers with the great control. What'll be interesting is you're going to have to move it based on the size of the hitter, right? So it's not going to be just a blanket thing, or you have guys like going up, crouching, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're going to have to move it a little bit. So it's there's going to be some bugs initially. But I think, what's interesting is you might see some curveballs that actually catch the strike zone that end up bouncing in the dirt that are strikes, because they actually come through the three-dimensional strike zone, but they're breaking so much that they end up in strike, which would never be called a strike before, but they are technically strikes. So that would take some getting used to, because that would be very weird at first.
Talking to Mark Loretta this afternoon about the NLCS, and I want to transition into a question about the Padres here in just 1 second. This segment of Kaplan and Crew is being brought to us by Corky's Pest Control, 1-800-901-1102. You have any pest control needs of any kind, Corky is the guy, especially when it comes to termites. I've told you the story. 3 friends right now, all are having their houses tented by Corky's Pest Control. Shop around, look around, ask around. Nobody beats Corky's prices. Nobody beats his 4-year guarantee. And when he quotes you a price on the phone, that is the price for termite fumigation. Corky's Pest Control, 1-800-901-1102. Mark, curious to know what you think about where the Padres are. They got rid of Jace Tingler. They're looking for a manager. I think a lot of people hear the name Bochy, of course. But you remember back in the day when people were complaining about Bochy. He's not fiery enough. He's not passionate enough. He's too chill. Okay, Bochy's name is out there. The guy who just got fired by St. Louis, Schilt, his name is out there. People have mentioned Ron Washington, Buck Showalter. I mean, experienced managers, guys who are part of the artistry of the game, to your point, not necessarily part of the science of the game. What do you think happens with the Padres managerial job? And are you talking to anybody down there? Is your experience in Chicago in play? I mean, are you involved in any of this? I know you're not necessarily working for them per se right now. What do you think?
Yeah, I haven't heard from. I don't think I'm a candidate this time around. I think mostly because of the inexperience aspect. I do think they're going to go after somebody who does have managerial experience and winning managerial experience. It'll be interesting now, because I know at least, I don't know how you guys feel, but I'll be disappointed if it's not Boch at this point.
Yeah.
After it's been built up, and that's going to be interesting. Has that painted the organization into a corner a little bit? I do think Boch is interested. I know Boch pretty well, and I think he's ready to come back. Particularly when he sees Dusty Baker and Tony La Russa and these guys who are 10 years his senior, who are still going at it and doing a great job. But I do think that Boch will have to have certain assurances to come in and take this job. And that is, please give me all the information, with the analytics and everything else, but also, let me run the club, let me manage. I know what I'm doing. We can talk about all we want, but at the end of the day, I need to make the decisions. He's tremendous with a bullpen. And sometimes he goes against the numbers, he goes with feel, things like that. And I just think as a fan, I think it'd be awesome to have Boch come back in. I mean, I think this team, we talk about having a 5 or 7 or 10 year window. Well, guess what? You never know. And unfortunately, if you start losing, too much, then all of a sudden, is it another fire sale? You don't want that to happen. So I would do everything in my power to get Boch in particular, because I think he's, as far as all the other guys who are experienced, he's the number one guy. He's been here. People love him. He would be great in that clubhouse, and he's a winner.
Mark, we got about 30 seconds to go here, but I'll ask it this way. Hypothetically, the Padres hire Bruce Bochy as their manager. Would you be interested in joining that staff, given your experience in Chicago as the bench coach?
Maybe. I think there's a group of guys. I think Phil Nevin would be high on Bochy's radar, who was let go by the Yankees. I would listen. I don't.
Would you solicit?
No, I wouldn't solicit.
You wouldn't call him and say, Boch, listen, I have my experience. I'd like to come back. I would like to put on the uniform again.
Where I am right now, Scotty, I don't feel a strong desire to coach. I'd like to get back involved in the game in some capacity, but I don't think it's on the coaching side.
Interesting. Okay, very, very interesting, as a matter of fact. Mark Loretta, looking good today. Sounding great, strong opinions. Seriously, it's great to hear from you. Really, it is, because we all have opinions, but you got that real baseball player / front office experience, and it's really interesting to hear you talk about it. Mark, enjoy tonight's game, the Dodgers and the Braves, Game 5. Enjoy Thursday night football. Enjoy your folks who are in town.
Yeah, thanks, buddy.
And please wish your wife my best, and we'll talk to you again real soon. Thanks, Mark.
Being with you, and I love what you said, Scotty. Just enjoy the games, but also remember these guys are human beings. And that's important. So you guys be well, all right?
Well said. Mark Loretta, thanks, man.
All right, have a good day, guys.
We'll be right back with more of Scott Kaplan and Crew tonight. The very best from today's Scott Kaplan and Crew show on the mightier 1090 AM. A new generation of radio. SoCal Sports Talk.
Kaplan and Crew tonight is brought to you by BMW San Diego, your certified BMW dealer, serving drivers throughout San Diego and the surrounding areas.
Our massive signal covers an area where over 24 million people reside. So if you're listening or advertising on another station, we have only one question. Why? The new generation of radio, the all-new and mightier 1090.
Great things can be achieved when a community comes together. Join Erica Cardenas on Doing More as she introduces you to ordinary people working side by side to confront tremendous challenges and make a positive impact in their community. Watch Doing More Sunday night at 6 on YourView or stream it online at yourview.com. Sponsored by The Barnes Firm, partnering with Shelter to Soldier and saving lives 2 at a time. Visit thebarnesfirm.com/shelter to soldier and help save more lives.
When California weather conditions create a high risk for wildfires, electric companies may shut off power in some neighborhoods as a precaution. These public safety power shutoffs could affect homes and businesses and interrupt power to your home, devices, and even our Cox facilities. During a PSPS, we'll work hard to keep customers connected to their Cox services in conditions that are safe for you, our employees, and our community. For information and updates, follow us on Twitter and visit Cox.com.
It was a night to remember as we honored the best teachers in San Diego. There was dancing. There was music. There were teachers. There was also this bit of genius.
This honor is bananas. B-A-N-A-N-A-S.
Watch Cox presents Salute to Teachers only on YourView.
Here's Kaplan and Crew tonight's 60-second timeout with Haley Stasiak.
Orange County Soccer Club got the win against the San Diego Loyal 1-0 on Wednesday night. With the win, OCSC clinched their spot in the playoffs and moved within 1 point of the Loyal in the Pacific Division. Eric Calvillo scored the game's lone goal for OCSC in the first half. Calvillo had 3 shots and completed 37 of 43 passes with 9 recoveries midfield. OCSC goalkeeper Patrick Rakowski had another great game. He had 4 saves, 2 inside the box, and his 3rd straight game without a goal allowed. Next up for OCSC, they'll take on the Las Vegas Lights FC on Saturday. For the San Diego Loyal, they'll match up with Oakland Roots SC on Sunday. Both matches will be broadcast right here on YourView. That's your 60-second timeout. Now back to more Kaplan and Crew tonight.
Kaplan and Crew tonight's 60-second timeout is presented by YourView.
Catch an all-new local show on the Mightier 1090. Please join us every Thursday at 6 p.m. for the Charity Stripe, where you can get 3 out-of-the-box sports minds whose game is knowing yours. Only on a new generation of radio, the Mightier 1090 AM, SoCal Sports Talk.
From fitness to medical technology, explore how people are leading healthier lives on Your Health. Join Erica Cardenas as she introduces you to health experts and discover how our daily choices affect our well-being. Plus, learn simple tips for healthier living. Your Health, Sunday at 4:30 p.m. on YourView and YourView.com. Brought to you by La Mesa Rehab, improving the lives of those afflicted by chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. Learn more at LaMesaRehab.com.
COVID vaccines are safe, convenient, and free, and they are effective at protecting you against the coronavirus. I'm Dr. Akilah Weber, a pediatric gynecologist and state assembly member, and I got the vaccine to protect my family. There is light at the end of the tunnel, and everyone who receives the vaccine helps us get one step closer to returning to normal. Go get your vaccine today. Visit myturn.ca.gov to find a site near you. Do it for yourself, your family, and for our community.
Live soccer is back. Watch Orange County Soccer Club, OC's highest level of professional soccer, live on YourView. Watch Orange County SC take on the Las Vegas Lights FC, Saturday, October 23rd at 7. Watch world-class players and future stars. Transform your summer with the new family game night and outdoor fun all season long. Live soccer is back. Orange County SC versus the Las Vegas Lights FC, Saturday, October 23rd at 7 on YourView.
At La Jolla Cosmetic, we try to help people achieve well-being, and we feel that it's not only important to look good, but also feel good inside. And honestly, what a better opportunity to help my community than being a supporter of an organization such as Las Patronas.
The mission of Las Patronas is to provide financial assistance to local nonprofits that are providing valuable community services in the areas of health, education, social services, and cultural arts. La Jolla Cosmetic has been one of our biggest supporters at Las Patronas, so we couldn't do what we do without their support.
You feel the need and you see the need because we go to visit each grant applicant.
Partnering with groups that are actually dedicated to help your community, it's the best thing that you can do as a responsible business.
Shelter to Soldier is 9 years young with a mission to save lives 2 at a time. We're adopting dogs from local shelters, training them for post 9/11 combat veterans, and we're able to donate these trained dogs to deserving veterans in need.
You know, I was in a very dark place. I was having suicidal thoughts, and I really needed an immediate help. We don't know if tomorrow is going to be there for us.
Shelter to Soldier is a nonprofit, and we're able to do the work that we do because of you, the community. Whether it's an individual donating $5 or whether it's a corporate donor like the Barnes firm that's supporting us and sponsoring multiple dogs that are going to make an impact in the veterans' lives in need.
Him by my side 24/7 has completely turned my life around. It's not just saving both of our lives, it has made an impact on myself, Nigel, my family, my work. So yes, they definitely have saved our lives.
Kaplan and Crew Tonight is brought to you by BMW San Diego, your certified BMW dealer, serving drivers throughout San Diego and the surrounding areas.
Save the Stork is an organization that equips pregnancy resource centers across the nation so that these pregnancy resource centers can reach more women facing unplanned pregnancies and provide them with holistic care, compassionate choices, and just an abundance of resources to support their decision to choose life. Save the Stork has been around for about 10 years. Most people know us by our Stork buses. A Stork bus is a mobile medical unit that's equipped with the state-of-the-art medical equipment as well as very knowledgeable and experienced medical professionals.
The buses enable them to reach areas where maybe there's not a pregnancy care center nearby. We are here to walk this journey with you so that you're not alone and to help you find your heart. in all of this. And that means and that you're going to make a choice that is truly going to be something that years from now you're going to be proud of.
Attention, all dogs, cats, horses, tortoises, birds, pigs, and all other pets. Get your family members to sit, stay, and watch Animal Zone every Saturday at 9 p.m. right here on this channel and at animalzone.org.
Tune in Saturdays at 9 p.m. to watch Animal Zone right here on YourView.
Thank you for joining us. Catch Scott Kaplan and Crew tonight from 7 to 8 p.m. Pacific every Monday through Friday. The very best from today's Scott Kaplan and Crew show on the mightier 1090 AM. A new generation of radio. SoCal Sports Talk.